In a quaint and serene village, there stood the grand hermitage of Gautam Buddha. It was a revered place, home to an esteemed Buddhist teacher whose wisdom drew many disciples from far and wide. Among these disciples was one who was particularly loquacious, known for his incessant chatter. He would speak endlessly, weaving tales from his daily alms collection and sharing them with everyone in the ashram. His stories often included gossip about other disciples, criticisms veiled as concerns, and constant self-praise. He prided himself on being superior to his peers, often declaring that he came from a wealthy family and had forsaken a life of luxury to pursue spiritual enlightenment. This, he believed, made his sacrifices more significant than those of his fellow disciples. One day, the guru gathered all the disciples and announced that each of them needed to take on a personal vow for the next month. This exercise, he explained, was to strengthen their determination and self-discipline. The disciples, excited by the challenge, chose their vows according to their individual abilities and strengths. However, the boastful disciple sought to distinguish himself yet again. He approached the guru and requested a grand and challenging vow, one that would reflect his self-perceived greatness. The guru, with a gentle and knowing smile, suggested that the disciple undertake the vow of silence for a month. The disciple, underestimating the difficulty of this task, readily agreed, considering it an easy feat. However, as the days passed, the weight of his vow grew heavier. Initially, he found it easy to remain silent, but soon, the urge to speak became overwhelming. The cacophony of thoughts and unspoken words filled his mind, causing immense inner turmoil. By the third day, the disciple felt a strange heaviness and unease. His mind was a storm of thoughts, questions, and complaints, all yearning to be expressed. The other disciples continued their daily conversations, heightening his sense of isolation. Unable to communicate, he resorted to gesturing with his mouth and eyes, trying to convey his thoughts without breaking his vow. As the days turned into weeks, the burden became nearly unbearable. His head throbbed with the strain of unspoken words, and he felt a constant, gnawing anxiety. Desperate for relief, he approached the guru, writing down his plea for release from his vow. The guru read his words and responded with wisdom, explaining that the purpose of a vow is not only to be undertaken, but to be fulfilled. Breaking a vow undermines one's inner strength, while keeping it enhances it. The guru reminded him that many of his fellow disciples had already broken their vows and returned to their old routines. The disciple was faced with a choice: to persevere and grow stronger, or to give in and remain unchanged. Determined not to fail, the disciple retreated to his hut, emerging only for essential tasks. He isolated himself, hoping that solitude would help him endure the silence. 15 days passed, and while many other disciples had broken their vows, he remained steadfast. However, the inner turmoil persisted. The silence outside did little to quell the noise within. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and complaints, growing louder each day. In search of true silence, the disciple decided to leave the ashram and venture into the forest. There, amidst nature's solitude, he hoped to find peace. The deeper he went into the forest, the louder the inner voices seemed to grow. He realized that his habit of speaking had not only been an external activity, but also an internal one. The constant chatter in his mind mirrored the conversations he used to have. Gradually, as days turned into weeks, the disciple began to notice a change. The incessant internal dialogue started to fade. He experienced moments of true silence, where his mind was still and his heart was at peace. He began to appreciate the subtle sounds of the forest, the rustling leaves, the chirping birds, the flowing water. These natural sounds, which he had never noticed before, brought him a profound sense of calm. One day, after 3 months of silence, the disciple returned to the ashram. His fellow disciples were astonished to see him. He was no longer the talkative, boastful man they once knew. There was a serene calmness about him, a quiet strength that radiated from within. He spoke to his guru brothers, and they immediately noticed the change in him. His words were now measured, thoughtful, and filled with a gentle wisdom. The disciple went straight to the guru and asked, "Gurudev, am I still silent? Is my resolution still intact?" The guru looked deeply into his eyes and replied, "Yes, you are still silent. Not a single word has come out of your mouth in vain. Your resolution is indeed intact." The disciple then shared his journey with the guru. "When I left the ashram, I was silent in speech, but filled with noise inside. My mind was restless with thoughts and questions. In the forest, I confronted these inner voices. At first, they grew louder, but gradually, they subsided. I realized how wrong I had been in my previous behavior. The silence helped me see the truth. I used to criticize and gossip, believing I was right. But now, I understand the value of true silence. It is not just about not speaking, but about quieting the mind." The guru listened and then spoke. True silence is indeed powerful. When we stop speaking externally, we begin to hear our internal voices. Most of our sufferings arise from our inability to be silent. We talk more than necessary, often without listening. This creates conflicts and misunderstandings. By embracing silence, we conserve our energy and turn inward. This inward journey brings clarity, peace, and true understanding. The disciples' transformation served as a powerful lesson to all. It demonstrated the profound impact of silence and introspection. The story highlights the importance of speaking only when necessary and the power of listening and understanding. In our noisy world, true silence is a rare and precious gift that can lead to inner peace and enlightenment. This tale reminds us that excessive talking dissipates our energy and distracts us from self-awareness. By embracing silence, we can unlock deeper understanding and inner tranquility. Share your reflections on this story in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more insightful stories.